So hey folks, this is me here. I have a little bit of time before I'm going off to school, so I'm able to just shoot a quick video real quick. And, just before I start off my day. So the topic I did want to talk about is, unfortunately, people, well, not unfortunately, I mean, if you're sick of hearing it, then that's your problem, is what's really, the kind of injustice that we as a people face as a whole. And I'm not just talking about racially. I'm talking about in general. There are people out all over the world really who are facing injustices, and it's really sad that it's not brought to light like it should be, or we're just now or it's just now being brought to light. And I feel like with what's going on here in America, with Ferguson and all these other cases where, police brutality, I feel as this is should raise a red flag at it. We need to start standing up for, not only ourselves, and if you have friends who are, part of a group that's targeted, stand up for them too, because that's the only way really that it's gonna, this is gonna change for the better, really. And one thing I can't stand is when we have people that are complaining about, how much lack of change there is, or how bad things are, but they won't do anything to help remedy the situation. It's really saddening. And personally, I feel as though if you're not going to propose a solution to the problem, then you don't, my opinion is you shouldn't, do all the complaining and stuff if you're not trying to help remedy the issue. Because all that does is just add extra stress on everybody else. And I do feel as though, while I would believe that injustices faced by people will get better, I don't believe that it'll completely ever be, erased due to the fact that, we're all human. And so I believe that, the best thing we can do is stand up for one another and do what's right. So that this way people who are being oppressed, whether it's because of racial, whether it's due to racial, sexual orientation, and other factors, that we can at least try to lessen the amount that goes on greatly, so that this way less people have to experience, all of this. And as far as in response to the black shootings that are taking place, the best, I feel as though, we definitely do need to stand up and unite as a people in order to combat what's going on. Because the worst thing we can do is start becoming divided and just not thinking rationally at all. Now, while I do favor the peace approach in a large sense, I do feel like there's a time when you have to make it known that you are not here to be pushed around. You're not here to be walked all over. You're not here to be somebody else's basically punching bag. You are a person. You have rights just like everybody else, and you help build this country up into the state that it is. And I do feel as though that the time, I do believe that it's time that we have, that people make that known. And it's really sad when people who marched in the 1960s as children have to come back and march again when they're in their 60s and 70s. That's something that's really disheartening, or ought to be disheartening, when you have people that went through this already and now they have to go through it again, and it's quite, it's quite saddening that this has to happen. So I do feel like we do need to unite as a people and stand up for what we believe in. And I feel as though until we can get past the subtle little differences that we have amongst each other, we can't unite and combat the whole issue of what's going on in a community. I do feel that until we solve that issue, we can't combat, the racial discrimination issue as a whole. And it's really sad that people are out here being killed by people that are sworn to protect, and due to race, do just things like race, the color of your skin. It's a shame that people have to endure this, and I really do believe that it's time that we stood up and basically just fought back, really. Now, when I say this, that doesn't mean you have this F the police mentality, or you thinking that you can beat you gonna beat up the white man, or you gonna beat stupid stuff like that. There's a way to beat the system, and there's a way to do it right, and there's a way to do it wrong. Doing it wrong is sitting up here, purposely taunting police, throwing things at police officers, doing derogatory stuff towards police officers. And the same thing with doing that towards white people, saying you hate all white people, saying you hate all cops, and all of that. That's the wrong way to approach it, because not all white people are racist. Not all cops are bad, are doing this stuff. You have a lot of good white cops out there, just like you have, whenever you have a job, you're always gonna have people that do what they're supposed to, and you have the people that are gonna abuse their power. And that's just how it is. And same thing goes for white people. I have a few white friends, and it's just like, not all white people are bad. So, it's not fair to loop them in with these people that are shooting people, because then that makes you no better than when white folks want to loop all black people together, in a category based on something that one, individual person does that's negative, or that they view as negative. That's not what you're supposed to do. The right way to go about combating this is be educated on this subject. Know your rights, know what you're entitled to. Don't take anything, don't take any mess from anybody. And when I say that, I mean, like, if somebody tries to tell you what rights you don't, that you're not a person, or you're not equal, or you're not capable, you don't have to take that, and you shouldn't take that. And like I said, educating yourself, know your rights, know what the amendments, know the amendments. I'm not saying you have to know them word for word, but know them, because those basically guarantee your rights. Know what the 13th is, know what the 14th, the 15th, especially for women, know what the 19th is. Look up your history. I can't stress this enough. You have to know your history in order to be able to prevent what's happening now from getting worse, or to stop it. You have to know your history. You have to know about the civil rights. You have to know all the things that took place. You have to know what that really stood for. You have to know what laws were put into place, that basically gave us the rights that that we have now. You have to know your history. You have to know, about slavery, because they're not, I'm going to be honest, a lot of schools, most schools will not teach you that. They won't teach you about, slavery. They won't teach you about, just little things. They just won't teach that to you. They won't teach you all the negative stuff, because, like I said, people do not want you to know. And I feel as though, as a race, by me I'm mixed with Native American and African American, I have to know my history on both sides, and that's what it should be. You have to know your history. You have to know where you come from, so you can pave out a way so that you and people you care about, or just, we as a people as a whole, can move forward. Don't let anybody tell you, well, blacks don't have a very instrumental role, because they do. And that's a load of garbage, that you have people who will do anything that they can to belittle you and make you feel as though you're not. Blacks just aren't important, and they are. So if you want to combat the system, know your history, know your rights, know your history, and make sure you get an education. I know it's tempting to go out on the street Whoops, sorry. I know it's tempting to go out on the street and not do what you're supposed to do, act a fool, sell drugs, and all sorts of other stuff. Because it's a lot easier than going to school every day, getting up every day at 6, 5, sometimes even 4 o'clock in the morning, getting ready, having to go to school, being there for 7 hours, and then coming home, and then having to do a couple more hours of homework. And then not really being able to have a lot of fun. It's definitely a lot easier. But in the long run, it won't benefit you as much as if you go to school, get an education. Because once you get an education, that's one less thing that anybody can use to hinder you or use to stop you from getting where you want to be in life. And having an education just gives you one more resource, one more avenue that will help you advance yourself. And I can't stress it, the importance of, yes, getting an education, pay attention in school, and all of that stuff. So this has really been my video on, just injustice and really how to combat this, specifically for blacks. I'm going to probably make another video talking about how, we can remedy other situations. But yeah, for right now, I'm just talking about this because this is, what's most prevalent right now. And there's a lot of uproar, and there's a lot of people who are, there are a lot of people who are just debating about this. And it's unfortunate that, you have a lot of, white people that feel as though blacks or any other minority really just aren't equal to them and aren't deserving of the same rights. And it's really sad that we still have this, 40 years later, almost 200 something years later. So let me know in the comments what you think about this whole issue, and let me know what your thoughts are, your suggestions, your ideas, because they're always appreciated. And as always, try to have a good day, and remember to be safe.